Hi, welcome to Navel Gazing on valleyindy.org and 103.5 WNHH, New Haven's community radio station. Today's episode is brought to you by Valley Gives Back, a new initiative of the Valley Community Foundation. Adding a charity to your estate plan creates a legacy that tells future generations what causes matter to you during your life. Your action inspires others to follow your lead and to make a difference. With a planned gift, you have the power to impact your community forever without affecting your current lifestyle. For more information, visit valleygivesback.org. The Valley Gives Back is an initiative of the Valley Community Foundation, connecting private philanthropy to the long-term public good of the Valley. Plan now, give later, impact tomorrow. valleygivesback.org.
Hundreds of years we've brought you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. Owners' profits were always sky high. Changing market now threatens our lives. Post-literation, critical reading, dumbed down nation, signs have been breeding. TV sucking ideas from our head. Public discourse just about dead. We'll ride the dinosaur. Yeah, ride the dinosaur. Our readers are in the opens each day.
Hello there. Welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indies podcast. My name is Eugene Driscoll. Yes, we are sponsored by The Valley Gives Back. Go to valleygivesback.org to learn about a new initiative from the Valley Community Foundation. And basically, it's a way to support nonprofits and anything that you care about locally. There'll be a ad so you can listen again in the middle of this podcast. Also, thank you to the Bad Slugs for that opening tune we've been using for a while now. It's called Ride the Dinosaur. It's about the newspaper industry, journalism in general. Excuse me. So today on the podcast, this is the first one we recorded in 2018. Happy New Year to everyone. And obviously this is solo. I'm recording this in my kitchen in Derby without Ethan Fry, who's busy trying to track down stories today. But anyway, the guest is David Lenart, Derby resident, longtime Derby firefighter, storm engine ambulance corps member, former Board of Alderman, and he runs... former member of the Board of Aldermen. Sorry, he wasn't the whole Board of Aldermen. He was one member representing the 2nd Ward where I live. And he has a podcast called Two Dudes Talkin' Disney, which we've had on and mentioned in a couple of previous podcasts. I love the fact that there's other local podcasts, and I'd love to feature more. So if anyone out there is doing their own podcast, let me know. Contact us through valleyindy.org or facebook.com, Valley Independent Sentinel. It's very easy to get in contact with us. Our contact information is literally listed on everything we publish. So, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. Dave is a massive Star Wars fan, and today we're going to be talking about The LAST JEDI, our reaction to the movie. I know we're a little late on this, but I think you need time to let the movie kind of settle in, go into your consciousness, like the Force, I guess. So, but I'm going to delay it a little bit because I just don't want people. It's going to be spoiler. Like, turn it off. Don't stop. Don't listen if you don't want to hear any major spoilers from The LAST JEDI, because we're going to be talking about everything in the movie and what it meant to us and where we think it's leading, what we like, dislike, that sort of stuff. But before we get to that, I thought I would take a moment. I never do this, and trigger warning, it's a reporter expressing his opinion. If that bothers you, again, if you don't like reporters expressing their opinion, click stop. If you don't want LAST JEDI spoilers, click stop. I can't emphasize that enough. But we just got back from a vacation. Ethan and I took 5 days off, plus the weekend, and I guess on New Year's Day. So 6 business days during the Christmas break there. And I have a son, he's 7, and a daughter who's 4. And they both watch a lot of YouTube. and it's a new experience for me. You know, I'm 43. Of course, YouTube really wasn't a thing. I mean, I've been using YouTube since it launched, but old people like me, I used YouTube primarily as a place to just put my videos for work. Like the Valley Indy used YouTube right off the bat because I didn't want to mess around with our server capacity for doing videos. I knew I wanted to do a lot of videos when we launched in 2009. YouTube was a place to just store the videos. I wasn't an active participant. I didn't think of myself as a content creator. But the way children use YouTube now is completely different. When I was growing up, we had Saturday morning cartoons, and they were all awful. I'm a child of the 80s. If you go back and watch G.I. Joe, that's a terrible cartoon. There's this new documentary on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us, and I was really sort of disappointed in it. I mean, the He-Man cartoon, I guess there's nostalgia now. There's a whole booming industry, and maybe this is indicative of how we're going insane as a nation. But, you go to these conventions now, and He-Man from the 80s is now sold to people my age. Kids have no interest in it. But the nostalgia drives so much. But my point being, they were just awful cartoons. But now, instead of the Saturday morning cartoons, YouTube's become the TV channel. That's their network. But it's just it's the Wild West out there, because you've got, in my opinion, from what I experienced on there, you have just bots and algorithms. I mean, IT guys are not known for their, I don't know, they're not personable people, and they control the world now. If you ever, come on, you deal with your IT guy, it's never pleasant, right? And so there's the robot effect on YouTube when it comes to children's programming is downright scary as a parent. I feel like a hypocrite because I was sort of raised watching whatever. I think I saw the Road Warrior. I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, right? So my older brother, I don't know, he's got like 15 years on me. So, if they went to go see the Road Warrior in 1983, which they did, they brought me with them, and I saw the Road Warrior in the movie theater when I was in 3rd grade, and it scared the bejesus out of me, but I also I loved it. It was thrilling. So, I'm saying all this because over the vacation break, my son watches the Paul brothers, Jake and Logan Paul. And, Logan Paul, who's, I guess, he's the older and more popular of the two, and these guys are both in their early 20s. He had this video where I just happened to see Jack. Jack got excited because Logan Paul had posted a new video, and Jack happened to see it on YouTube 45 seconds after it had been posted. At least that's what it said on the little video counter measurement thing. So he turns it on, and I just happen to be watching over his shoulder, and there's this warning at the beginning, and I believe that the headline of it was something like, we saw a dead body. And I'm like, what? And sure enough, I took the computer from Jack, and I watch it, and I'm like, I don't know if it's a prank, because, they're known for being, they're kind of like Bush League jackasses, which is amazing to say after all these years, but they're like Johnny Knoxville combined with like the uptight frat from Animal House. They're not so much Bluto. They're kind of this weird Kevin Bacon-ish character from real bro, real fraternity type guys who do dumb things. So, but yeah, they I'm sure you've read about the controversy for now. They go into this place in Japan, nicknamed the Suicide Forest, and it's been a subject of a bunch of crappy movies over the last couple of years, crappy horror movies, and it was a subject of a hipster Vice documentary. So they filmed a person who had committed suicide. Allegedly, you always got to throw that in there now because now it's with the internet and digital media and the way our world and country is, we have to qualify everything as, I didn't see it with my own eyes. I didn't feel the body's, the cold skin of the corpse. I'll just say it looked like, and they were presenting it as, though they blurred out the person's face, a person who had committed suicide. And I didn't watch the video from that point on. I kind of fast forwarded to the end. I was looking for the big reveal. Ha ha, gotcha. But apparently, no. They played this as of this recording was all played as real, and I reported it immediately to YouTube because obviously that's objectionable content. Like I was really angry that my kid clicked on the video so easily and could suddenly be exposed to a corpse, and not so much that he's just being exposed to a corpse. All right, he's got to encounter death, but in a Logan Paul video, like what? It's just like, if Bugs Bunny suddenly, you're watching Bugs Bunny and suddenly it turns into a porn, that's not the way these programs, there used to be standards. And anyway, it was just very frustrating to me. And I reported it through the Valley Indy YouTube account. You file a little complaint. My personal YouTube, a third YouTube channel that I have access to, I reported it, and nothing happened, and it was up for what seemed like. I kept going back to it. I'm like, wow, this is something, if I put that on the Valley Indy Facebook page, there would be a meltdown. At times I've left comments, like somebody drops an F-bomb or maybe says something racist on either our site, valleyindy.org, or our Facebook page, and I've left it up overnight because I sleep. It's the truth. Sometimes I miss things. And I've had things have been up for 4 hours overnight, literally from say 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. I get up and I have, you're horrible. How dare you allow that? You are ruining the Valley. And I just, okay. And I take it down. Now, I've never laughed at a corpse that, I've come across in the woods, or we've never gone to a suspected suicide and taken pictures and then, reported on it just willy-nilly. And yet this thing was on YouTube for hours, it seemed. I was just trying to track, like, when are they going to do something about this? And I kept searching Google, being like, there's got to be outrage at this. This is actually something legitimately to be outraged against. And eventually it came. There was a big backlash, and it made every media outlet in the world, it made international headlines because this guy is that popular on YouTube. And, he apologized and he did the thing you always do. You nowadays you do the heartfelt, look into the camera, get a little teary-eyed and do your apology. But it just made me think, like, what in the heck is going on with children's programming specifically? Because what really bothered me about this, among many things, this is a guy, you watch his videos and his little brother's videos, and they'll be literally kids. They look like middle school age kids. Maybe they're freshmen in high school. I don't know. I'm not a good judge of age. They look like they're anywhere from 10 to 14. They're like background dancers in the videos. Like, clearly his demographic, or their demographic, the Logan brothers, are little kids. I don't know why the kids find them so appealing. My son loves the guy. I don't even know how he first found out about. I kind of do. He would watch these YouTube videos, and one of them mentioned this Logan Paul guy, and he would click on that, and suddenly he became part of the Low Gang, in a way. But they have no respect for their audience. From what I've watched, and I've watched a lot of these videos, they'll drop F-bombs and songs. So you have guys that are appealing to kids. Target demographic is clearly minors. And yet the content's adult, and YouTube, that just goes through. Everyone rails about the mainstream media. Mainstream media is evil. They're the enemy. They need to be undermined. I read that every day. From the President of the United States to a guy that was in my wedding party. Yet the mainstream media is not going to go out and just randomly film a suicide like that and throw the picture on the front page just to throw it on there. At least everywhere I worked, and I worked for the corporate media. You don't report on suicide unless it involves a public person or it happens in a public place, and there's kind of no way around it. One of our most read stories last year was a brief about a body found in Osbornedale. A person, we were told, committed suicide. We didn't pursue it once we were told that. And yet, Logan Paul just poops that video out there, gets seen by millions, including children. where is YouTube? I don't understand. The robots have taken over and they're not doing a good job. There's no internal editorial processes. There's no editors. But that's what's ruling the world right now. The Evening Sentinel went away in the 90s. We've tried to replace it in name, but we're a 2-person nonprofit because people rather watch Corpses in the Woods hosted by Logan Paul. And I just find that to be a problem, and I don't understand what to do. As a father, it concerns me. Yeah, I can just, and please say what you will about me allowing my kid to watch these videos. Go ahead, because that's what the internet does too. Please judge me and leave comments about how horrible I am for not taking personal responsibility. But I saw a tweet, so I've complained a lot. Well, I'm recording this, and they're just, Route 8 is just, as of this morning, there's been a crash like every half hour. That's what that beep was. So, but I found this guy on Twitter, and his name is Ed Petrie. And my original plan now was to have him on, because I wanted to talk to him about some of he had this thread on Twitter, just a bunch of thoughts reacting to this Logan Paul debacle. Then it turns out he's in England, and he's like a legitimate actor and like presenter over there in England. I don't know what a presenter is. I guess he's like Pat Sajak of England, and there's no way he would do this podcast, so I didn't even try. But he said, having spent 12 years working in kids' TV, first at Nickelodeon and the CBBC, which I guess those are the Nickelodeon, who's the British version, and children's British broadcasting over there in the England. And seeing the thought and care that goes into providing content for young people, there need to be some serious questions asked about how YouTube functions. I agree. Ed Petrie, and he's at twitter.com/Ed Petrie. That's EDPETRIE, just to give full credit. Twitter.com, Ed Petrie. Then he says, a good start, on their YouTube Kids app, they should vet every video before it is posted, instead of taking things down in retrospect after they get complaints. Amen. The thing about YouTube, it's just this place where these content creators keep making mistakes with their programming. Things that are like wholly inappropriate. Go search Elsa fart videos if you want to have some fun on YouTube. It's just, there's no editorial process. They need a little mainstream media. Get infected a little bit by the mainstream media. There are some, go watch that Washington Post video where the whack job from that Marinette group of Project Veritas tried to trick that reporter. And I don't care how you feel about the Washington Post and the New York Times. Just watch that and watch how that reporter handled that situation. There's a little bit of craft involved there. All reporters have their personal opinions, but if you had any good mentor or you came up through any good system, you kind of learned how to do A, B, C, and D, and how to deal with things a little bit. So you don't just post insanity out there. And none of these YouTube channels, from what I see, really have that. Or if they do, they're boring and no one wants to watch them, I guess. Because I saw one reaction to this was about how the mainstream media always just, wants to silence the YouTubers and they want to hold on to their, come on, have some standards. Or learn some standards. Learn about ethics. Always question yourself, right? I mean, that's the best thing about journalism. I used to think it was covering, insanity and questioning the powerful and kind of ego-driven stuff. Nah, the best thing about being a reporter is that every day you question your own belief system. And man, I find that to be healthy. So anyway, on their YouTube Kids app, they should vet every video. This is twitter.com, Ed Petrie again. Or maybe it's Petrie, I don't know. On their YouTube Kids app, they should vet every video before it's posted instead of taking things down in retrospect after they get complaints. It will cost them more money, but they will make a lot of money. And with that comes responsibility. He continues, they are such a large provider of children's content. Now they should start looking at the way the rest of us do things and learn a thing or two. Yes, exactly. If you have kids like I do, they're probably watching YouTube, right? I mean, YouTube now, it's the new television for the kids, for the young people. And then he kind of says, I mean, can you imagine the outcry if the BBC or the children's BBC gave presenters a platform to show kids footage of suicide victims? Yeah, and that's really what happened. It's a kids channel, and they're showing a victim of suicide. It's insane. And then he says, please retweet if you agree. And I did. So I just thought those were interesting because I saw a lot of people out there on the Twitterverse, because I live on the internet, unfortunately. My job is online. And I actually get a lot of insight from these YouTubers to see how they organize their channels and how they promote themselves and what they do, so we can learn, because I'm an old man operating a news site, a local, hyper-local news site. You know how hard it is to get people to read our content? It's extremely difficult. These guys know what they're doing in terms of how to get people to watch, and not necessarily always clickbait, but the patterns they just it goes to like the way they organize their page, which I just, it's all about transitioning from viewing YouTube as a place to just store your videos to actually, that's a YouTube channel. Because nowadays, it's our stuff reaches more people on a YouTube or on a Facebook page than it does on valleyindy.org, because everyone's moved beyond an actual site. So I do respect a lot of these people and what they're doing. And it's amazing to me that Joe Blow and his family, can start up a vlog, a video blog, and just post about their daily stuff and make it entertaining and sort of captivating. It's, God bless them. And then they make a living off it, which just blows my mind. But a lot of these, the popular guys on YouTube, who, their crutch, they're making money off kids watching their videos. And I guess I just wanted to weigh in with my outrage, because that's what we do. I just wish YouTube as an organization would have some soul and just pay attention a little more and try to put an editorial process in there of some kind, where a check and balance of some kind, because we're all going to make mistakes. I saw some other stuff on Twitter reacting to this. When I was 22, if I had a daily video, 45 or 15 minutes a day of what I was doing, it would not be something I would be proud of at all. It would, in fact, I probably would have never have gotten any jobs, doing what I was doing at 22. But there's got to be some kind of counterbalance to this stuff. And I will note that it didn't involve kids or making money off kids or marketing towards children. So anyway, that's my, Tipper Gore diatribe. So now here's Dave Lenart talking about The Last Jedi. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Fake news alert. Actually, before Dave Lenart comes on to talk about The Last Jedi, please take a second, 30 seconds actually, to listen to a message from our sponsor, to whom we are very grateful for their support of this podcast. Visit valleygivesback.org. Then right after this message, bring on Dave. Hi, this is Eugene, most likely interrupting myself to bring you a message from our sponsor. What will you be remembered for? Adding a charity to your estate plan creates a legacy that tells future generations what causes mattered to you during your life. Learn more at valleygivesback.org. It's an initiative of the Valley Community Foundation. Plan now, give later, and impact tomorrow at valleygivesback.org. Now back to the show.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
Please enjoy this Verizon ringback tone while your party is reached.
This is his ringtone.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
What?
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so joining me on the computer, as promised, Dave Lenart of the podcast Two Dudes Talking Disney. Hello, Dave. Welcome to Navel Gazing.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing all right, Dave. And I apologize for doing this not in person, even though we live like within walking distance. But
I can look out my window and see you right now.
my life's just a mess, so I'm not leaving my kitchen today until 2:00. But I mean, Dave, of all the people I know that are Star Wars fans, I think Dave is the biggest fan. He's the most fanniest of Star Wars fans that I've encountered. And he has like this obsessive knowledge of Disney in general. So when the Star Wars world melded with the Disney world a couple of years back, Dave knows everything there is to know about all this stuff. So he's beyond just your typical fan. I mean, we all have an opinion on the new Star Wars, but I think his opinion holds more weight because he's so familiar with everything involved in the whole Star Wars universe. So, and you're still doing the podcast, Dave. How's that going?
It's good. It's we don't podcast as much as we like, but as you know, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
If it was a paid gig, it would be a little bit more frequent, but it's whenever Tony and I can get together to do our podcast, we do it. So it's fun. It's enjoyable, as you know. I mean, it's a little stress relief, a little side thing to do.
Exactly. And then in terms of the podcast and The Last Jedi, have you guys, and I apologize for not knowing this in advance, I could have done 30 seconds of research, but like I said, my life's a mess. Have you done The Last Jedi reaction on your podcast yet?
We actually have not yet. We have not. With Christmas, so you're beating to the punch here.
Oh, man. Oh, this is good. I hope Tony doesn't mind.
He won't. All
right, so let's talk about, I first wanted to ask you to rate the movie on a star system, one to 4, essentially. 1 being poor, 2 being fair, 3 being good, 4 being excellent. How would you rate The Last Jedi?
I give it a 3.6 on the scale. I obviously, as a fan of Star Wars, I enjoyed it. They, we did do the spoiler alert, right? We hit everybody. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, we can't stress it enough. Just we can keep saying this whole podcast should just be spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
It's like Beetlejuice. You got to say it 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but I liked. I'll tell you what. I hit you with my 3.6. I can tell you that. What I did not like about it, there was pretty much 2 areas in particular I didn't like. I did not like you have seen it, correct?
Yes, I have. Yep.
Okay. I did not like the Princess Leia floating through space scene. I have a feeling it was done to set up another scene in the next movie. Like, my feeling is they wanted to give you that, wow, she really is with the Force and she's powerful. She was able to survive out in space and pull herself back to the ship. But obviously with Carrie Fisher's death, we're never going to see that explored. That's my personal feeling about it. It was to set something up later where, you're not like, holy cow, Princess Leia could use the Force. I mean, we all know who her family is. She should be able to use the Force. So I just wasn't a fan of that scene. But again, I think it was done to set something up later that will never come to fruition because of her death. And then the other thing I did not like was the storyline with the casino. I just, I was not a fan of the storyline with the casino. I think it could have been done other ways. But it just, for a movie that was that long, it was like you could have cut that and brought the movie down a little bit.
Yeah, that was, I mean, with both your points, I agree with you 100%. I'll just say that. I don't want to cut in to what you're saying, but yeah, that whole the casino scene, it feels like it goes on for a half hour and it leads to nothing. It adds nothing. Right. I was shocked by that, and they're saving horses. There's like a adopt a dog type message in there, right. Like support your local shelter, which is fine, but it was just kind of Frankenstein in there, crowbarred in there. It was weird.
So that's kind of what I didn't like. And as you know, the Rotten Tomato world, I believe the score from Rotten Tomatoes is around 90, but the fan score is like at 50. And, the funny thing about Star Wars fans is when the Force Awakens came out, they were like going to war because it was so much like A New Hope. And they were like, we want something totally different. And now this movie is kind of different. And now they're like, this is crazy because it's totally different.
Yeah.
It's the pickiness of the Star Wars fan, showing through on that. There's the rumors out there that it was a hack job. Rotten Tomato denies it, but some internet sites point out that it was done, by somebody with an anti-Disney agenda. That obviously makes them my mortal enemy. But like I said, I think that the movie's getting a lot of hate from the diehard Star Wars fans. There was an online petition to drop the story from the official Star Wars, record.
Yeah, now I read that.
Like, come on,
I read that. I saw the headline that they want to drop from canon, but I didn't actually read any of the stories about that petition. It struck me as sort of ridiculous. I tried to avoid reading about this movie at all before I saw it. But what was their basic complaint with why did they want to drop from being part of the canon? What was I didn't understand what was so offensive.
I don't see what was so offensive. And for those of you who are not the diehard Star Wars fans, I didn't want to use the terms, but since you threw them out there. In the Star Wars universe, there's two realms. There's canon and legend. And Disney, when they purchased Star Wars from George Lucas, basically they wrote everything with the exception of the actual movies, some of the comic books, and the Clone Wars TV series as what they call canon, or that's true, that happened. And every other storyline is legend.
Okay.
So, for those of you who are wondering what we keep saying, we say canon and legend.
Yeah, I actually used the term, but I didn't realize the whole legend part. I didn't know that.
Okay, yeah. So if you if you bought books about Star Wars, with the exception of the newest books that came out, like Leia, Tarkin, Empire's End, those are all canon. But anything basically, any of the offshoots, Disney kind of just said that's all legends. Those are not true. That they're separating it. So they wanted to drop the film from canon. They wanted to make it a legend. So basically saying that this film never actually happened according to the real history of Star Wars, which is just crazy.
Was there one particular scene was there one particular scene or something they found particularly distasteful?
Collectively, just the collective things. I'll tell you things I liked.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got rid of Phasma so quick. I thought Captain Phasma, and I know Steph's going to get mad at me because I'm going to throw Boba Fett under the bus here, but Captain Phasma was like the Boba Fett of this trilogy. A lot of hype, kind of like a little bit of badassery. I don't know if I can say that, but
I guess so. You just did.
No production from the character. Boba Fett is out there as this like bad. I almost said it again, as this like crazy villain. He's really a nasty guy. And he's in about 17 minutes of all the movies, and he gets knocked into a pit.
Which I'm still angry about.
Kind of the same thing.
I'm still angry they did that to Boba Fett. That was 1980. I'm still angry at that. I saw it when I was 10 years old.
But they did the same thing with Phasma. They killed her off real quick, which I was happy with that. I was extremely happy to see Luke Skywalker and Yoda again on the big screen. I got a little misty there,
Mm-hmm.
I was actually sitting in the theater at the seat thinking if 8-year-old David Lenart knew that he was going to see Yoda and Luke together again, he'd be so happy right now. I thought that was really cool to bring Yoda back in to to realign Luke. I thought the Kylo Ren, Rey, mental telepathy thing, I still don't understand why Kylo was shirtless.
Right, that was a weird scene. Hey,
A
buddy of mine referred to that. I just want to throw this in there. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this guy Matt Maisto in my side podcast, he referred to that. I don't know if it was he thought it up or if he read it somewhere. He referred to that as a force book. They were doing force book messaging essentially.
Yeah, and I actually got to say that was a little kooky, but I like the fact that it showed the connection. Luke was able to have that with Darth Vader. Leia felt it with Luke when the second Death Star exploded. She was able to reach out through the Force and feel that he was still alive. She felt it when Han died. So, it's cool to see that. Like I said, Yoda coming back was real cool. I thought the lightsaber duel in Snoke's chamber with Kylo, Rey, and the guards was probably one of the best scenes of a Star Wars movie. I was shocked as all heck when they killed Snoke.
That was,
there's rumors out there that he's not dead. But I mean, we saw him get chopped in 3 or 4 pieces. I thought that was a crazy way. I did not expect the story to go that way. I thought he would be the villain looming large over Kylo, and Kylo's kind of really stepped up into the Darth Vader role. I have to say though, out of everything that I liked, the one thing I loved the most was when they showed how powerful Luke was. And again, it ties back into the floating through space scene with Leia. If you read the comics, if you read the legend stuff, in one of the legends, Luke was able to pull a super star destroyer out of the sky and crash it into a planet when it attacked them. The power that Luke had with the Force was just unbelievable, and you never really saw that in the movies. You never saw him project the Force in a way that made you, holy cow. Up until now, I mean, the fact that he's able to, through the Force, project himself as a living person and be able to move objects and, that kind of stuff. I went back to see the movie a second time just because someone mentioned that when they're right before the final duel with the Salt, you could see Kylo's footsteps, but you never see Luke's.
Okay, there's a little hint right there.
I went back to go. I actually went back to go check it out. I thought that was probably one of the best scenes in a Star Wars movie when it comes to the power of the Force, and what you could do with it.
So you were okay with and again, this is spoiler of all spoilers.
Yeah.
Were you okay with like the resolution of Luke Skywalker as a character in that?
I don't know. I don't really get it. Like, I don't get why if he died, or if he evolved like Yoda. Maybe we'll find that out in the next movie. But did he evolve? Did he move on to the higher level of the Force? Is he going to be there like a Force ghost for everybody else? So I mean, I kind of always thought that Luke Skywalker was going to go down in a blaze of glory. There's some Luke haters out there that are like, I should say Luke haters, but some Star Wars haters out there that are like, I don't agree with that whole thing. Luke never would have ran and hide. It's not the Jedi way. Yet, Luke was raised by Obi-Wan hiding on a planet, who had to go visit Yoda hiding on a planet. So it was all right for them to go run and hide, but not Luke. So, like I said, I just thought that projection of the Force was really awesome. And, I keep saying the rebellion because, that's what we called it,
right.
Now the resistance.
Yep.
But the resistance is in a lot of trouble. I mean, there's not many left. There's only a small band left, and they're hoping, they never got their reinforcements, and that they're hoping for a miracle here, and they barely escaped. I should say in the category of, I thought for sure Finn was dead when he was driving the land speeder device towards the Imperial walkers. Right. He was going to crash in. I actually said, all right, and at that point in the movie, they killed Phasma, they killed Snoke. Somebody's got to go. I thought for sure it was going to be him. That they pulled out at the last second there, and he lived. But it was good to see Chewie. It was good to see R2 and C-3PO.
And that's it. They're all that's left of the original now. It's like now we're going to have a Star Wars movie with just those three. If
they kill Chewie, that's it. I'm done. I'm never watching it again.
I keep waiting. I keep waiting. I want the Chewie solo movie, and I just want. I guess maybe he'll be in that one. But it's like I want them to give Chewbacca more to do in this movie. I mean, I don't. He has his best friend killed in the last one, and he's sort of. Right. I mean, I guess
you want to see him rip somebody's arms off.
Yeah, I want to this is Chewie going Rambo. I keep waiting for that. And I had problems. I got to tell you, I had problems with the. I like the fact that Luke Skywalker had become this hermit, sort of a cranky
Right.
old man, and it keeps in the tradition of like the old kung fu movies from the 70s,
Right,
that used to play like on at least in New York on Channel 5 on a Saturday, because it'd always be, he'd be the master, and then the young student would go and be trained by this cranky old man. I was totally fine with that. The end there when he shows up, I couldn't get past the fact that he had, his hair had been dyed and his beard had been dyed. I was just, he comes like walking out, and I guess I've been told since then, well, that's whatever, when he projected himself. But the fact, and again, spoiler alert, he becomes a hologram. I'm kind of like, oh, wait a second. We have holograms. A couple of years ago, didn't they put like Tupac Shakur on stage as a hologram?
Right.
But somehow that the greatest Jedi of all time, that drains him of all his power. I found that a little disappointing. But although I did like, I guess I wanted to see Luke, if he had been there, absorbed all that punishment.
That punishment, right.
And
just,
then
stood up and dusted his shoulder off.
Yeah, I thought that was a little much, but I got what he was doing. He was sacrificing himself so the Alliance guys could get away. But I don't know. I guess it was. I just wanted him. I really didn't think his character would disappear like that. I thought he would be in the next one, because I guess I wanted to see the powerful Luke Skywalker just go nuts and wipe out.
We did. We saw.
Well, we didn't get
we
didn't get him though. He was so passive though. Like I thought like the best thing about Rogue One was Darth Vader comes in at the end and you get to see Darth Vader.
Everybody.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to see Luke Skywalker murder people. I guess that's if I come right down to it. But it was cool because I always thought Luke Skywalker, like Mark Hamill as an actor in those first 3 movies, I hate to say it, but he's the weakest thing. He's kind of like, he's got that like that stereotypical porn delivery of his lines, where he's like, "Hello, I am," like he's so, and his voice is always cracking. Like in this movie, he was good. I thought like that was a Luke Skywalker I could believe, because he was sort of aged and grizzled.
Yeah, I like him. I like the actor. I like him. I follow him on social media. He's funny.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great. You know what, too? He's tremendous to the fans. I mean, if you look, recently he was at a hotel, and somehow someone found out he was in the hotel, and a group of about 50 fans gathered, and they were there all night. In the middle of the night, he went down and met them all and took pictures with them. I did have the pleasure of meeting him once. You talk about funny history, but in the late 80s, when President Bush Sr. ran against Michael Dukakis, Michael Dukakis came to Ansonia and spoke to everybody in front of City Hall, and his celebrity was Mark Hamill. And, obviously because we had access with the media, we were able to get up to meet him. And
that was your grandfather, if anybody doesn't listening. He doesn't know.
Of course. Pot took care
Ed
of the
Cotter.
kid.
Well, I had no idea. Luke Skywalker was in Ansonia.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Wow. That is totally awesome. And so he was nice. You remember? I mean, you must have been. We were little. Yeah. I mean, I just remember the fact that, holy cow, it's Luke Skywalker. But well, I guess like I said, we got another movie coming. We'll have another movie coming, and when the next movie comes, we'll hopefully have our questions answered. I don't buy the story that Rey's parents were nothing. Right.
I think Kylo just said that to hit her. I don't, but I also don't have a problem with, the Force is not, if you take the whole Star Wars universe, the Force is not something that's like a birthright. It's not genetically, it doesn't only come genetically. If you look at the Jedi, the Jedi would scour the universe looking for kids with high midichlorian counts, and if you go back to those movies, so it doesn't necessarily always something that's hereditary, if you will. So the ending, I liked the kid. It's the only part I liked about the casino scene in the end was the slave kid, after playing the rebellion and playing the battle with his friends. He walked up and went to go start doing his chores and reached down and used the Force to pull the broom to him.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't even realize that happened. Oh, yeah.
So if you remember at the very end, they went back to the planet.
I remember the kid. Yeah. I didn't realize that he moved his broom.
And they were playing, and as he walked outside, he stuck his hand out and used the force to draw the broom to himself.
It's like that Whitney Houston song. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well. Let them lead the way. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I mean, personally, I would give it 2 stars. I just thought it was. I saw it with my 7-year-old Jack, and I saw The Force Awakens with him, and we saw Rogue One together. This one, he was bored, man, and I gotta admit, it was long. It was too long.
It was long.
Yeah,
it was very long,
yeah.
And the time of the movie itself was just crazy. Like I said, I would have ditched the
casino
scene.
They just needed to cut that out.
Then,
the whole Finn shouldn't have been in the movie. He just should have stayed asleep the whole movie. Put him in the next one because he was completely sort of wasted and it just added on. Although I did love the Benicio del Toro character. I thought he was awesome, but he was unnecessary.
I agree. I think at this point he was a little unnecessary. Again, I've said to my friends and to people we have a long conversation about the movie that I would have put, his character on the Resistance's ship right in the beginning, and then this way he could have still led him to the ship, but you could have cut the whole casino scene out. You could have kept his character, put him on the ship right in the beginning, and then had him say like, "Hey, I can get you on the ship." And then when they get there, be the traitor, because I think he's coming back in the last movie.
Yeah, and that would have made so much more sense because the other thing that whole plot line does to the movie, and it was really driving me crazy during the movie. And when I walked out of it, I was like, this was too long. And essentially, the framework of the movie is that there is a space race happening between the bad guys and the good guys. It's a car chase, but it's a slow motion car chase.
Right.
Because the bad guys, they're like, we'll just wait for him to run out of gas. And then and then it's dragged on to the point where this subplot, it was like a video game where they have like a little mini mission. Yeah. There's the main mission, but then you have to branch off here. And if they had just combined that, it would have been much more believable. Because I'm like, wait a second, it's Star Wars. They never ran out of gas. What are they using as fuel? They never ran out of gas. But then somebody pointed out to me. What'd you say it again?
I said you're right. If you look at some of the Star Wars fans' complaints, that's one of them.
Okay.
They literally brought it down to them running out of gas.
Somebody pointed out to me, and I didn't realize that until they did. I think it was that guy Matt Maisto or this guy Pete Gerner, just to give correct attribution. Battlestar Galactica, when it came back on whatever it was, Sci-Fi, a huge plot point in that movie of that show. I mean. Of the miniseries and the TV show, I guess I can't remember which, was that they would jump from space to space, from place to place, using a sort of hyperdrive thing, but they could only do it so much because they were running out of gas. And I was
I'll tell you, I thought an awesome connection between movies was in the end of Rogue One when they're searching the Imperial files, they come across the file that says hyperspace tracking.
Oh, no kidding! So, I did not. I missed that.
When Jane and are in the end, and they're going through all the file names. One of the files she says is hyperspace tracking. So the Empire has been working on hyperspace tracking for
a while. That's pretty cool.
It is. So for them to have it finally, it was a good tie-in between the movies. But yeah, I guess, we'll see our next questions answered in the final episode.
Yeah, and wait, I want to ask you one more thing, though. One more thing, and then I'll let you go, because I know you probably have a life to live and like building fires to put out, literally. How do you rank these? Now, rank the newest 3 movies, Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi. Rank them in terms of 1, 2, and 3.
The problem I have is I follow the official, Disney protocol, and I don't put Rogue One into the linear sequence of the trilogies. I think Rogue One was the best of the 3.
Okay,
but it's an offshoot. You know what I mean? It is.
It's a one with
it
an
is not,
asterisk.
you know,
Okay.
Yes, it's one with an asterisk. Very good. It's one with an asterisk, and then I think that I like this one better than The Force Awakens.
Wow.
So I did, and it's just me. Call me crazy, but I did.
Wow. Well, I mean, every hardcore fan I've talked to, and you're the 1, 2, 3, fourth one.
I'm the
Really.
exception.
Well, no. Every hardcore fan that I've talked to has said the same thing. I liked Force Awakens more, but yeah. I just thought because I remember talking to you when The Force Awakens came out twice, and I just wow. Okay, that's hey, opinions are opinions.
But so we got the last episode. Then I think it's May 25th. We have the Star Wars story, Han Solo movie, which. There was a lot of problems with. They fired the director, brought Ron Howard in. They reshot the overwhelming majority of the movie. There's rumors out there on the internet that Disney's actually preparing to take a loss on this movie. They're expecting it to bomb. I think, I hate to say it, but I think that the Star Wars fan won't let the movie bomb because they're still all going to go see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go see it, and I've read those same.
Right.
I'm expecting it to be bad based on the fact. I mean, I'm
Right,
not a Ron Howard fan. You bring in Ron Howard, that guy makes the most vanilla, homogenous movies imaginable, in my opinion.
I'm like, right, it is. Again, it is a weird directing choice for a Star Wars movie. But then again, when Rogue One was done, there was a lot of problems. People said it was going to bomb. They brought him in and reshot a ton of the movie, and now, like we just said, we think it's one of the better Star Wars movies made.
Yeah, it worked there, and I guess like Ron Howard, he's a when it comes down to it, he's like he's a worker. He'll just get it done. He'll go in and finish the movie. Man, I guess probably it needed that. But yeah, there's no way that's going to bomb financially because even people like me will go see it. So it's become that's one thing. These movies now. Now it's a Christmas tradition every year. I'll take my son every single year until he tells me to get lost to go see these movies.
This one's coming out in May.
Yeah, I guess.
Come out in May.
So they're trying the summer waters there. I guess that makes sense.
Right. But and I will say this though, one of my all-time favorite Star Wars movies, which no one gives credit for, I don't know if you've ever seen it, is Fanboys. Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't think I have.
All right, so everybody listening right now probably, it was a lower budget film from years ago. It stars some of the original cast. Princess Leia's in it. Billy D. Williams is in it. There's a surprise Star Trek crossover, but it's basically the story of a group of friends that grew up on Star Wars, and they're huge Star Wars fans in the 90s, and one of them gets diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they make a cross-country journey to break into George Lucas's house and see and steal the first copy of the Phantom Menace. Like I said, it's a little bit of a low-budget film. There's some, it plays on the Star Wars Star Trek rivalry, but it is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I think if you haven't seen that, you should definitely look for it. It's called Fanboys. It's not a very long movie. It's maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. But it is. I think it's worth it, and I think anybody out there who's a fan of Star Wars will watch it and appreciate it because, it is our culture. It's in. I mean, Amelia, we're playing Star Wars already. Amelia's BB-8.
Yeah.
And it is as much as to my wife's dismay. Amelia's deep into Star Wars already. She's got her Star Wars toys and her lightsaber, and Dad buys her Star Wars shirts. But it's our culture. Star Wars is as much of our culture now as anything.
Yeah, and it's important to point that out because as much as like maybe I pick apart and I give it a 2-star rating, but it's like I'm judging it to such a high standard. It's better than 90% of the. I mean, I think it's, in my opinion, it's better than any of those Avenger feature movies that come up. I think those are right. It's a in and of itself, it's a good movie. I'm just holding it to a higher standard. But it's like, and that's to be celebrated. The fact that they, after those prequels, the fact that they're putting out high quality movies that are right that obviously respect the whole Star Wars universe and what it means to all of us is very cool to see. So
and it's Disney's banking big on it. They with this movie they made their money back, so they paid $4 billion for Star Wars from Lucas, and they by if you add everything up, Disney's made their money back.
Hey, and
they're banking on Star Wars. They're building the Star Wars lands in their theme parks. So if you go down there now, Hollywood Studios is becoming a mini Star Wars park, and the Disneyland in California is getting their Star Wars land, and the Disney Cruise Lines run Star Wars stuff. So it's
here to
a big
stay.
profit-making machine for Disney, and it's obviously not going anywhere.
And then just finally, Dave, and I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm just wondering for your reaction. There's a Netflix show that came out within the last couple of weeks called "The Toys That Made Us." Have you?
The Toys That Made Us. It's on my Netflix watch list.
Your queue. Okay. Yeah. All right.
The problem is, as you know, right now, whenever you put on Netflix, I have to watch Princess Sophia, Doc McStuffin, or I sometimes I look in the mirror and I say to myself, "You're the adult. We're not watching Paw Patrol tonight."
Oh God!
But,
yeah, I feel your pain. I've sat through Spirit, and actually, the one thing, my daughter, she's 4, and now she's gone from the Netflix and Doc McStuffins. Suddenly, she's into the Aquabats, which is actually was this great show that was only on for like 2 seasons. It's very much like this. You know it? Okay, it's like the '60s Batman. So I'm sort of content. I'm like, all right, yeah, we'll put on the Aquabats. All right, yeah, I found season 2 and bought it for it. So yeah, but
fun. I mean,
Go ahead.
It's something we share with our kids. I go to see the Star Wars movies with my father and brother.
Yep.
And, I can remember going to see Return of the Jedi with my father, my brother, my uncle. I remember all going to see it. And, I can't wait to take Amelia to a Star Wars movie. And we took her to Star Wars night at the Sound Tiger game. She was more interested in the Stormtroopers and the droids roaming around in the hockey game. But, it is... Like you said, it's something we've now shared with generations of our families.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Dave. Hey, just totally unrelated to this, and I promise this is my last question. When's the Derby Fire Department doing their installation of the new officers?
It won't be till next year. We do the Chiefs are every 2 years.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, I mean, I kind of realized that, but I didn't realize. All right, so it's only been a year. All right, so I will just edit this part out.
Yeah, no problem. But
all right, that's good to know.
Other than that, thanks for the call. Anytime. I enjoy this.
Yeah, same here.
So anything I can do to make my wife roll her eyes and think I married a nerd.
Awesome. I will happily help in that endeavor. All right, Dave. Happy New Year. Thanks so much.
Pal. Happy New Year. I'll see you later.
Take care. All right, so that was Dave Lenart of Two Dudes Talking Disney, and just a Star Wars fan and a Derby guy with deep roots in the Naugatuck Valley. Thanks again, Dave, for coming on the podcast. So that pretty much wraps it up. Now that we're at the end of this thing, I felt like, should I just cut out my Logan Paul rant at the beginning of this podcast? I don't know. I feel like that's just me blabbing on and on and on, because I was worried that maybe Dave and I couldn't carry on like a lengthy conversation about The Last Jedi, so I kind of did that intro as insurance, and also just to say as much as possible, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So I don't know, maybe that'll be here, or maybe that'll be a lost episode. In any event, I want to thank you for listening. This podcast is available on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on YouTube, valleyindy.org, top of the page, navel gazing if you want to listen to past episodes. I've noticed our traffic and stuff and hit counts and stuff like that is dwindling a little bit on this podcast. So please give us suggestions as to how we could improve or what you want to hear. Do we take this podcast and just make it into a Facebook Live thing to get more people, to get more attention? If you like this podcast, please share it. That makes a huge difference. We are an online newspaper. So just one share or one like, if you see this on Facebook or you put this on Twitter, exposes it to more people and helps us. So with that being said, this is Eugene Driscoll, and I guess I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.